Laura walked up the side path of the beach house, expecting to surprise her sister. Instead, she found her dead mother sipping rosé on the deck. She rounded the corner and froze. There, under the striped umbrella, was Patricia, tanned, relaxed, a glass of wine in her hand. Patricia's eyes locked on Laura. The wine glass tilted, spilling pale liquid across the wood.
No, this isn't possible. I chose the urn.
Laura! No! What are you doing here? You weren't supposed to know.
Laura's phone clattered to the deck. She couldn't feel her fingers.
Laura, wait, let me explain. It's not what you think.
You are dead. I paid $12,000 for your funeral.
Patricia took a step forward. Cynthia grabbed her arm, panic twisting her face. Laura stumbled backward. The 18 months of grief, the urn on her mantle, all lies. Her mother was alive, and nothing would ever be the same. Laura got into her rental car and drove. The beach house shrank in the mirror, her hands bloodless on the wheel. 18 months earlier, Patricia collapsed in a grocery store aisle. Sudden cardiac arrest, the coroner said. Laura paid for the funeral herself. The life insurance policy was worth $400,000. Cynthia, the younger sister, was named as the sole beneficiary. Cynthia bought the beach house soon after, claiming years of savings. Laura believed her, sending a housewarming gift. She never suspected. The death notice ran in the local paper. Laura kept a clipping, never questioning the story. Now the lie screamed from every detail.
I paid $12,000 for that funeral. Cynthia gave me an urn with ashes. Whose ashes did they burn?
The insurance money, the beach house, the sister who dodged her calls, it formed a pattern. Patricia had planned this for years.
They got lazy. They thought I'd never visit. I need to know who helped them fake the death records.
She pulled into a motel parking lot. Already, her phone showed search results for forensic investigators who handled insurance fraud.
Daniel Reeves, he's got a reputation. I'll call him in the morning. I will make them pay for this.
The next day, Laura sat across from Daniel Reeves and pushed a folder across his desk. Inside was everything she had on her mother's supposed death.
You are telling me your mother faked her own death for a large insurance payout? That's a serious allegation.
She's alive. I saw her on my sister's deck drinking rosé. I paid for her funeral. I have the receipts.
Daniel put on his reading glasses and studied the death certificate. The cause of death was listed, but no autopsy. A glaring omission.
It's cremated within 48 hours. Without a medical examiner's independent confirmation. That's not standard. Not at all.
I never questioned it. I was too broken to ask. But now I need to know, whose body did they burn?
Daniel closed the folder and leaned forward. He agreed to open a formal investigation, starting with the medical examiner.
I'll need the policy number and your sister's details. If this is fraud, it's federal. You'll need a lawyer.
I am ready. I've already lost a mother. What more can they take from me?
As Laura left, Daniel was already on the phone with a contact at the coroner's office. Within days, he would have proof. 3 days later, Daniel summoned Laura back. On his desk lay a manila folder thick with documents and one grim photograph.
The medical examiner was paid $15,000. He tagged an unclaimed John Doe as your mother and signed off on cremation within hours.
He slid a copy of the death certificate across the table. The signature was a jagged forgery. The cause of death, pure invention.
That's not a doctor's signature. It's my mother's handwriting. She practiced it. I know her slant on the P.
Laura's hand trembled. The urn on her mantle. The $12,000, all built on a stranger's corpse.
There's more. The insurance payout hit Cynthia's account 2 weeks after the death. She used it for the beach house down payment.
So Cynthia knew from day one. She watched me cry at the funeral while cashing the check.
Daniel placed the full evidence file in her hands. Birth records, the examiner's bank deposit, the alias Patricia was using.
I can't just report this. I need a lawyer who understands federal fraud. I'll make sure they face every consequence.
The file was a bomb. Once she lit the fuse, there was no turning back, and Laura had already struck the match. Laura walked into Helen Strickland's office and laid the evidence file on the polished boardroom table. The attorney was known for dismantling insurance fraud rings.
Miss Reeves briefed me. This is wire fraud and conspiracy. If convicted, your mother faces up to 2 decades in federal prison.
She said, "Your mother," like it means something. Even now, I can't say Patricia's name without feeling the funeral program in my hands.
Helen slid a photocopy across the table. Patricia had been living at the beach house under the alias Patty Doon with a forged driver's license.
I need your sworn affidavit today. Once it's filed, the FBI takes over. There's no withdrawing. Are you certain?
You've been grieving a lie for 18 months. I'm certain. It's time they understand what they took from me.
Laura signed the affidavit, her pen pressed hard enough to leave an imprint. Once, she'd used her signature on sympathy cards. Now, it condemned her own family. Daniel arrived with the rest of the forensic work, the examiner's confession, Cynthia's signature on the policy change, and the bank transfer records.
There were moments I wanted to burn it all and walk away. But then I remembered the urn, the weight of ashes that weren't hers. I signed again.
The case went federal that week. Laura left the office knowing her mother would soon learn the truth was out, and the hunt had just begun. Within hours of the federal filing, Patricia's phone lit up. She called Laura 8 times before sunset.
I could let it ring forever. But she needs to hear my voice say no. I know you are alive, Patricia. Don't bother lying.
Laura, please. You don't understand. Cynthia needed the money. I was going to tell you eventually.
Patricia's voice cracked with rehearsed tears. Laura had heard that tone 1,000 times growing up. It never meant truth.
You let me choose an urn. You watched me pay for a funeral. You don't get to explain.
The message was brief and threatening. Back off, or I'll destroy your career. You'll be remembered as a bitter daughter.
She's threatening me now. My job, my reputation. That means the evidence is solid, and she's terrified.
She blocked Patricia's number without another word. The silence afterward was louder than any plea.
For 18 months, I grieved a ghost. Now the ghost is screaming for mercy, and I feel nothing but cold relief.
2 days later, Daniel called with a new discovery. His voice held a gravity Laura hadn't heard before. I found a policy from decades ago. Insured. Your grandmother Margaret. Beneficiary Patricia. He sent the old document. A photo yellowed with age. But the red stamp screamed across the page. Cancelled.
Kindled. Someone stopped her. Who would have known?
It was taken out when Patricia was barely an adult. She never collected. The file says intervention by family.
The policy was issued when Patricia was 23. Margaret was the insured, a healthy woman in her 50s.
She tried to cash in on her own mother. If someone hadn't stopped it, my grandmother might have been her first victim.
I'll dig deeper. But this establishes a pattern. It will strengthen the fraud case enormously.
Daniel unearthed an old family photo. Young Patricia stood beside her mother, and a man Laura barely remembered, her grandfather, Robert.
He must have known. I wonder what he tried to tell us before he died.
She drove straight to the family home. The attic ladder groaned as she climbed into the dusty, forgotten space. A worn hat box sat under a pile of quilts. Inside, letters tied with ribbon, and the handwriting she recognized.
That's his handwriting. I remember the birthday cards he sent me.
The letter, dated 1985, read, "Patricia, I have canceled the life policy. I will report you if you ever try this again."
He knew. He stopped her, and she must have hated him for it.
Robert had confronted his daughter in the kitchen. She screamed it was her right, but he was unmoved. He took a pen and canceled the policy in front of her. His voice was quiet. "Not under my roof." Young Patricia's face twisted with fury. The grudge lasted a lifetime. Laura clutched the letter and wept, not for her mother, but for the grandfather who tried to save them all.
He couldn't stop her forever. But I will.
A thick envelope arrived at Laura's hotel. No return address, but she recognized her mother's angular handwriting. She brought it to Helen's office. Daniel sat across the table as Laura tore it open. Patricia wrote, "You are a cold, ungrateful daughter. After all I sacrificed, you want to send me to prison? You are no better than your weak grandfather."
She dared to mention Robert, the man who stopped her before. This letter is a confession.
It's evidence of ongoing manipulation and threats. This will help the prosecution prove intent.
The timeline matches. This reaction confirms her guilt. Everything we need is here.
I wanted to believe there was some good in her. That letter burned the last bridge to ashes.
Laura folded the letter and placed it into the evidence file. Her signature on the updated complaint felt lighter this time.
File the final complaint. I want them to face every single charge. No deals.
The case was airtight. Patricia's own venomous words had sealed her fate, and the raid was now inevitable. Laura sat in Helen's office. The final complaint spread before her. A single signature would set the raid in motion.
Once you sign, the FBI executes the arrest warrant. There's no turning back.
I've been turning back my whole life. Not this time.
She signed her name with a steady hand. The ink bled dark and permanent into the federal complaint. Daniel stepped forward and laid a heavy evidence file on the table. The insurance policy, the forged certificate, and Robert's letter.
This is everything. It's more than enough for a conviction.
Laura's fingers brushed the yellowed letter. Her grandfather's words felt like a final blessing she never got in life.
I am proud of you, Laura. Most people would have walked away.
I am not most people.
The complaint was filed electronically. Within the hour, FBI agents began coordinating the raid on the beach house. In a windowless conference room, FBI agents briefed Laura on the dawn raid. The element of surprise was critical.
I can't just wait in a hotel. I need to see their faces when the lies collapse.
The Bureau says you can't be on site. Any civilian presence risks the operation.
I'll be across the street. She won't see me, but she'll know I am the reason the world is watching.
She rented a cheap motel room with a view of the beach house. Through binoculars, she saw Patricia's silhouette pacing at midnight. At dawn, dark SUVs rolled silently into position. The agents were shadows against the white sand.
18 months of grief for a woman who was drinking rosé. Now she's about to taste handcuffs.
Laura watched through her phone camera, zooming in. The lead agent raised a fist, then the signal.
Grandpa Robert, I hope you can see this. I hope you are proud.
The battering ram swung forward. The door splintered, and Laura whispered, "It's over." As agents flooded the beach house, Laura pressed her back against a palm tree and remembered the motel room the night before. The night before, she had read the main text a dozen times, but a crease hid a small postscript, folded flat against the edge. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded it. The faint ink, nearly lost to time, sharpened into words. The postscript read, "And Laura, if you ever find this, I hope you'll be braver than me. Break the pattern. Love, Grandpa Robert."
He was talking to me. He knew I might be the one to end it.
The words hit like a wave. Her grandfather, a man of few words, had been fighting this battle long before she was born.
I am not just avenging. I am finishing what he started.
She pressed the letter to her chest and let the tears come, not of grief, but of fierce, burning gratitude. Then she folded it carefully and tucked it into the pocket of her jacket. Against her heart, back in the present, screams echoed from inside the beach house. Laura opened her eyes. She was ready. Agents burst through the shattered door onto the deck. Patricia froze mid-lunge for the rosé bottle, glass shattering under boots. They wrenched her arms behind her back. Metal cuffs clicked shut over her tanned wrists, and she let out a guttural scream.
You can't do this. Do you know who I am? I am dead.
Cynthia appeared in the doorway, still in her nightgown. Two agents grabbed her before she could bolt.
Laura did this. She's the one you want, not us. We didn't do anything.
They're blaming me even now. It's almost laughable.
Laura stepped out from behind the palm tree, her face visible. Patricia's head whipped around, eyes blazing.
You ruined everything. You are no daughter of mine. I'll destroy you.
It's done. The cycle is breaking. I can feel him smiling.
As the agents placed head-bowed Patricia and screaming Cynthia into separate SUVs, Laura stood alone on the sand, finally able to breathe. Within hours, every news app lit up. Mother-daughter insurance fraud, dead woman found sipping rosé. The photo of the beach house was on every site.
They're making her a punchline. I never asked for this, but it's fair. She tried to be invisible. Now she's everywhere.
News vans surrounded the motel by noon. Every exit was blocked. Reporters shouted her name through the thin walls. Helen called, her voice sharp. Say nothing. We control the narrative in court, but Laura had already made up her mind.
I'll give them one statement. Then they can print whatever they want. The truth doesn't need a lawyer.
She stepped outside. Cameras swarming. The letter from Robert pressed against her heart, a quiet reminder of who she needed to be.
My mother faked her death for money. I paid for her funeral. Now she will face the consequences. I ask only for privacy and justice.
The questions came like a wave about her sister, the insurance company, the body in the urn. But she turned and walked back inside.
They wanted the grieving daughter. I gave them the woman who broke the chain.
She took the letter from her pocket and read the postscript again. The trial was weeks away, but for the first time, she felt free. The federal courtroom was silent as Laura walked to the stand. Patricia sat in defendant's chair, staring at the floor.
I paid $12,000 for her funeral. I chose the urn. I stood alone and read the eulogy.
Patricia's jaw tightened, but she refused to look up. The courtroom artists sketched her profile.
18 months later, I walked onto her deck and found her alive. She was tanned, drinking rosé under an umbrella.
Cynthia let out a choked sob from her seat. Her hands trembled over her inmate uniform.
I spent 18 months grieving a woman who was never dead. They used a stranger's body to collect my inheritance.
Patricia finally raised her eyes. For one moment, her cold mask slipped, flickers of rage and fear. The courtroom sketch captured the moment. Laura standing tall, Patricia shrinking, the judge impassive.
I am not here for revenge. I am here so the record shows the truth. For my grandfather, who knew before any of us.
The court recessed. Patricia's face had gone pale, and the weight of the evidence was crushing her composure. The court reconvened for sentencing. Patricia stood before the judge, her hands cuffed. The plea deal accepted. The judge's voice was flat. Patricia Dune, you are sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for wire fraud and conspiracy. Patricia's expression remained blank. No tears, no apology. The woman who faked her death looked barely alive. Cynthia was brought forward, sobbing. The judge gave her 7 years for her active role in the conspiracy.
7 years. Laura, you did this. You ruined my life.
I didn't ruin anything. You both built this prison yourselves.
The restitution order was read. Full recovery of the $400,000 insurance payout, plus Laura's funeral costs, to be paid jointly. Laura walked out of the courtroom with Helen, her face unreadable. She didn't look back.
I won. So why does it feel like I lost even more?
Outside, the sun was harsh. The legal battle was over, but the inside war was just beginning. The restitution paperwork arrived in a thick envelope. Laura signed where required, but the numbers felt cold. She drove to the storage unit and began packing away Patricia's things. Dresses, old photo albums, decades of secrets.
I've kept this stuff for months. Now it's just junk.
Inside a dusty box of old photo albums, a print slipped free. A man with kind eyes and graying temples, Robert.
Grandpa Robert. I almost forgot what he looked like before he died.
She studied the photo for a long time, tracing his smile. The letter in her pocket suddenly felt heavier.
He never got a thank you. I need to say it. even now.
She pulled out her phone and searched for flights to the family cemetery where Robert was buried.
One ticket. I'll go alone. I need to tell him the cycle broke.
She placed the photo in her jacket next to the letter. The packing could wait. Laura returned to work. Colleagues nodded with quiet respect. The whispers had finally stopped.
They finally see me as more than the woman whose mother faked her death.
She met Daniel Reeves one last time. The evidence boxes were returned. The case file was officially closed.
You did the right thing, Laura. Not many people would have the courage.
I had help, and a grandfather who showed me the way.
Helen's email arrived that afternoon. All appeals denied. The restitution would begin within 30 days.
It's over. No more court dates. Just a future I get to define.
She stopped at a florist and chose white roses, the same flowers that had lined a coffin for a stranger. The bouquet rested on the passenger seat as she pulled onto the highway, heading north. The road stretched ahead. For the first time in 18 months, she felt not grief, but peace. The iron gates stood open. Laura parked beneath a sprawling oak and walked into the cemetery. The white roses cradled against her chest. She stopped before a modest headstone. The name carved there had waited decades for someone to thank it. Laura knelt, the grass cool against her legs. The headstone was warm under her palm. From her jacket, she pulled the yellowed letter. The crease was still sharp. Her voice broke as she read aloud.
I hope you'll be braver than me. Break the pattern. Love, Grandpa Robert. I did it, Grandpa. I stopped her. Thank you for showing me how.
She placed the roses at the base and tucked the letter beneath them, pressing it into the earth. For a long moment, she stayed, head bowed, tears falling freely onto the grass.
I love you, Grandpa.
She stood, brushed the grass from her knees, and walked away. The sun broke through the leaves, warming her back. She glanced in the rearview mirror as the cemetery disappeared behind her. The road led to the coast. She pulled over at a deserted beach. The sun was low, casting golden streaks on the water. She kicked off her shoes and stepped onto the sand. The grains were cool between her toes.
The same ocean I saw when I found her. Today, it's just water and sky.
She walked to the shoreline, letting the waves wash over her feet. She stopped and faced the horizon. The sun was melting into the sea.
Strength is quiet. My grandfather carried it in his silence. I know that now.
She took out the photograph, the one from the attic with his kind eyes. She held it up against the sunset, and the light caught his gentle smile. She stood there as the waves erased her footprints, feeling finally at peace. After a while, Laura turned and began walking the shoreline. The sun was low, draping her in gold. The waves washed over her ankles, then retreated. She stopped, her gaze fixed on the horizon.
Robert knew the truth. He couldn't tell me, but he left me a map.
A single tear slid down her cheek, catching the dying light. But she was smiling. The cycle was broken. The weight she had carried for 18 months was washing out with the tide.
I am not the woman who grieved a lie. I am the one who ended it.
She stopped once more and looked at the fading sun. The sky bled into soft violet and rose. She didn't need to say goodbye. She had already said thank you. The last light vanished above the water. Laura breathed in deep and felt whole. The screen darkened slowly, leaving only the sound of gentle waves. The last light bled away, and Laura's silhouette was painted against the deep violet sky. A single, quiet line appeared, floating over the waves. I hope you'll be braver than me. Break the pattern. Love, Grandpa Robert. The words pulsed with a gentle light. Then, like the letter, they settled into the memory of the sea. Laura watched them fade, her hand over her heart, where the letter had once rested. She had done what he asked. She had been braver. The cycle was broken. The story could now be told, and it would end with her. The camera pulled back, and she became a tiny figure against the vast, darkening shore. Slowly, the screen dissolved to black. The image held for a breath longer. Then there was only the hush of the waves.